Hey, everybody, I'm Jill Conway, and this is Secrets of Powerful Women, a show dedicated to celebrating and supporting strong and successful women and sharing their stories. I'm hoping you will be inspired to pursue your own dreams, reclaim your voice, feel empowered, and discover your strengths. So, my guest today is Penelope Mandel. She's a spiritual intuitive, and she's just a wonderful person to be around, and she's going to guide us all today. So, Penelope, thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right. So, Penelope, talk to me about how you found this calling. What happened in your life, or where were you, and what does a spiritual intuitive do?
Well, I have a lot of different titles. I really, since I was very, very young, since I was 2 years old, I felt and sensed things and I felt people's energies, and I didn't know how to articulate what I was feeling. But as I got older, I realized that it was definitely picking up on people that my parents knew, people that they had over at the house, going out with my parents. I came into a pretty dysfunctional family, and I definitely had physical responses to that, and I was terribly shy. And I didn't understand half the time what I was hearing and feeling. I didn't know why other people weren't sensing the same things I was. And
So, go ahead.
it
Yeah.
just wasn't until I got older that I started to realize that I was picking up on energy that was not my own thinking, that I was picking up on other people.
So you talk about what is it? Do you hear things? Do you see things?
It's a combination of environmental things wherever I am. I'm not on all the time. I think I would really lose my mind if I was on all the time. But I learned as I got older to cultivate understanding when I was meant to pay attention to what I was hearing and what I was picking up around me. And then as I got older, I started to understand a little bit more what was happening for me because I really didn't understand it. I'd be on a subway and feel incredibly enclosed and encapsulated and feeling almost like a sense of anxiety because I would feel overwhelmed with the energy. Everybody carries energy, good, bad, and different. We all carry energy. And I was just incredibly sensitive to it from a very, very early age.
Oh, wow. So, how did you get to the point where you started to understand what that is? Because I feel like most people just think I have anxiety. Let's say I have anxiety, right? But they're not realizing that other people are in their space.
Well, I was tested when I was a teenager. I
Hmm.
went to an environment with my sister that they did testing on intuits, psychics, and I was part of a team, a group, and I was off the charts with the testing. They said that they had never seen anybody that had that ability. We were given various different activities to do, and they were monitoring and sort of adding up what was going on in the. It was about a group of 30 people, and at the end of the day, I was told that I was pretty much off the charts, which again, I did not know how to control any of this. I didn't know what was going on. I knew I had a sense of people, places, and things. I had an incredible connection to animals. Animals had a very good connection to me. But in relationship to defining it, I didn't know until I was much older what that exactly was. And then my family, my cousin Pam and her family encouraged me, oh, come on, come do readings for us. Come do. And I would just sit with people and I would take it, started out with something called psychometry, where you take an article from someone and you hold it and you get information from it. That's how it began for me. Then I realized that as I went along, it was better to have a physical thing to show people, which is why I started using cards. I am not a tarot reader, but every card I use has a saying on it and it speaks to me. And it just makes it easier for people to understand what I'm saying versus trying to sit there and figure out, how does she know me? Does she know somebody I know? How does she know that? How could she? So it eliminated some of the doubt. When I spoke with people, they had a visual aid, like a cue card.
Mm.
And that's how I developed my readings.
So I have a question about that. So that's very interesting because I have, I've talked about this. I've been intrigued and part of this whole psychic community for since I was 16. I've just been incredibly fascinated by it, and I've been going to psychics since I was about 16. And I've always, it's so funny, it's so interesting to me that everyone is a little different. And like you said, some people use cards, some people don't use cards, and the really good ones that I've known just use a regular kind of deck of cards type of thing. Like it's nothing, like it's not what you would normally see. And you have a different deck too.
I do. You want to
Yeah.
see one of them? I'll
Sure.
show
Yeah.
you one of the cards just to give you an example. Now, a lot of people think these are like tarot cards, and I gather that there are some people that do use them for tarot. I do not. I use the top part of a card that has a saying, which this one is abundant. And then I take that and I apply it to the individual I'm speaking to. And as I hear a story unwind, I get names, I get places, I get situations that I have no reference to. Most people I've never met before. And it just starts to unravel in my head as to the story or what I'm meant to be saying to the person.
Right. Right. And you pick up and do you hear, as I think I said before, do you see spirit? Do you see, someone's deceased relatives, or do you sense their energy,
I
or
have.
both?
I I I have done both. I'm not happy all the time when I see someone or an
Yeah.
image because even for me, when I was younger, freaked me out. I was like, why am I seeing this? Why am I
Yeah.
feeling this? And I would
Mhm.
ask other people and it never happened to them. So I thought, oh my God, something must be really crazy. But the fact is, I do. And I had the luxury and amazing, amazing interactions with geriatric patients that I knew were leaving. And I was working in nursing homes and I knew that they were transitioning to leave. And I would have that distinct, incredible opportunity to help them without anybody knowing, because this was just me and them. And I would speak to them and really allow them the freedom to discuss what they were experiencing on a spiritual level. This was not medical. This was completely spiritual, but I always worked in medical environments. And I used my ability to help, make them feel freer and able and feel comfortable in speaking about what they were experiencing.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, like you say it, and like everyone says, it is a transition from one, um, I don't know how you say it, one world to the next, or one physical world to the spiritual world, right?
Yes,
To
and
the
also people don't like necessarily feel comfortable speaking about that or allowing their loved ones to speak in ways of saying that they see their departed relatives. Most people go, no, you don't. You know they died many years ago. Whereas I would say, really, what are they saying to you? What are you feeling? What are they interacting with you? I wouldn't want to stop people from their own personal experience. But even
and we
babies
Go
feel.
ahead.
I know babies feel spirit. I know animals feel spirit. And you could watch just moving their heads from one side of the room to the other. And they're seeing something. They just can't express it to you, but you know that they're seeing something.
It's interesting. I remember one of my dogs, a Labrador at the time, used to go into my living room years ago. She's no longer with us, but years ago, and she used to just stare at this one couch, at this one chair, and just bark. And her familiar bark, where like she sees something, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It would be like if
absolutely.
someone if she was staring out the slider doors and be barking on something, like she would do a little growl, and you almost saw like this little indent in the chair, and it
Right.
was
But
yeah, it was wild.
that's what I encourage, Jill, for people to be more open. And not everyone is. And a lot of
Mm.
people are very fearful of what they can't actually see, touch, or smell or hear, and they don't know how to express that energy. Whereas I encourage people to really pay attention to those signs because why not? I mean, we can't see carbon monoxide and we know it could kill us. So
Right.
there's energy in the air that we do pick up on and we sometimes ignore it. And I think that's sad because to connect to our loved ones on a spiritual level is an amazing gift. It's a wonderful, wonderful gift to have. And that's what I try to encourage people to do.
Right. Would you say everyone is intuitive?
I believe majority of people are capable of being intuitive. I think a lot of that comes from people saying, you know, I had that funny feeling in my belly. I had a feeling about that, but they don't take an action. They don't do anything with it. And then after the fact, they go, I knew that. I knew. That's it. That's their intuition working and they're not acting on it. They're hearing something, but then they're not taking an action on it. And then they question that feeling. And I'm just trying to get people to not question the feeling and just be free. Be free to feel it. People see people in their dreams. They feel like they have dreams about people. I always feel it's a visit.
I
That's my
agree with you.
that's my feeling. I don't feel that dreams are just about, yes, we have dreams, but then there are real visits that people do that have passed that come to us. And
Mm.
I love that. I love hearing stories about people having those dreams. What they call dreams, I call visits.
I have one for you. I have one for you. So my father passed probably about 22 years ago, and we were always we always talked about he had a stroke before that, and we always watched Crossing Over with John Edward,
Yes,
and we used to talk about things like this because again I was always into this, and one night, and I'm sorry if I get upset, but um, one night I had a dream, and he came to me, and in the dream they look like fine, and he said when you die, um you review your own life. He said you there's no big, there's no God with you reviewing your own life. And he said you are meant to feel how you made someone else feel
right.
in different situations. And I was like, wow, that's wild. And I just remember having this conversation with him. And in the dream, my mouth didn't move and his mouth didn't move.
You
Right.
just saw one another.
Right. We were just like looking at one another. And yet I was getting I heard him,
Mhm.
but I'm 100% sure it was a visit because I still remember it with great clarity and the smell and all of that.
Absolutely. And, for myself, I had the same incident with my mother and father, different times, different places. My joyfulness about that connection is always full. I always feel very full after that experience happens. I encourage people to write that down because a lot of times that happens. They go to sleep, they wake up and they forget. And I say, if that ever happens, document it because there may be something coming for you that they're either giving you a warning or trying to guide you in some way. And pay attention to what the environment was. Try to write it down because we tend to block that kind of connection for whatever reason. And it's very important to stay open to it because many times it's a guidance. And that's what I embrace. That's what I really believe in.
I think I mean, I know I agree with you. I completely agree with you. But why do you think that people are so scared to think that maybe our soul lives on? Maybe there's this whole other, we're energy, and it's basic science that we're energy and energy never dies. So I don't know why everyone has such a hard time with it sometimes.
Well, anything that doesn't have a defining, calculated explanation, people get frightened of going beyond the unknown. And that's truly what most people fear is the worst four-letter word on the planet. I don't care what anybody says. fear blocks us from being open to experiences, love, new experiences, challenges. Fear stops us. And I feel that if we could get someone past that fear, they will then be open. Like some people don't want to know. They just don't want to hear. They don't want. And I say, I'm not here to force anybody to see or speak about anything they're not willing to speak about. That's not my job. My job and my rule is about helping people that want to know, that want to get help, that want to connect. And by the way, just because I try to connect, not every spirit wants to connect. There are certain spiritual times where people have died either in a crash or some kind of tragedy, and it's hard for them to even understand on a spiritual level that they're no longer here. It was a shock. So sometimes spirit does not allow a visit. They don't want to speak with you because they don't, that would have to be admitting that they're not here anymore. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, they're right. It was such a quick, I guess, sudden death that there's
It's
still
it's
want
a
to be here.
it's a hard positioning to take, whether
Yeah.
they're still on the planet or they're no longer with us physically. I've heard of many people that have had out of body experiences or people that have had death experiences that can actually lift above the accident and see themselves either on an operating table or in a car crash. And they are literally not cognizant of the fact they're sort of watching it as a movie versus understanding that it's them, that they're the ones that they're seeing. So there's a lot about as we pass away, my father saw his brother and sister waiting for him. He even said hello to them when he was with me. And then I said, "Do you see Uncle Bobby and your sister? Do you see them?" And he says, "Yeah, don't be silly. They're right there." And I went, "That's great, Dad." So not allowing people to feel is a horrible, horrible thing, especially when I work with geriatrics. If a patient sees a mother who, and of course, they're 90 years old, if they see their mother, why deprive them of that joyful interaction or visual? Even if I can't see it, that doesn't mean they can't see it. Do you understand?
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I agree with you. My aunt was 99 years old and still living on her own, when she had help with her, and she used to look at the couch and say, "Oh, there's two little boys here," and things like that. She used to go on, and of course, some people say she's going crazy, she's losing it, and I was like, I don't think so. I think they're
Right.
there. Yeah.
Listen, growing up in my day, nobody spoke about psychic phenomenon. It was
Mm,
not easy on the tongue for most people.
mhm.
Today, you see it on every television and movie. There's something in reference to someone being perceptive, psychic, intuitive, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of names. I was in healthcare for over 40 years. I embraced and utilized my ability to help people. And most times they didn't even know it. I was just allowing them to just get in touch with whatever it is in preparation, for whatever they were encountering. And I feel that's a very important thing to allow people to have their own gestalt, their own feelings.
I think so. I think part of that is a lot of religions have painted this picture, at least in movies sometimes, of it's evil, like spirit is evil. And I think that's
Especially
part of the problem.
Catholicism. Especially Catholicism. I've had some
Yes.
people say, I'll talk to you, but you can't take those cards out because that's against the religion, but I'll speak
Mm.
to you. And I say, that's okay. That's no problem. And also, it's okay not to speak to me. I don't need, I don't need anyone to come and speak with me. I have
Right.
a couple of friends who seem to feel they are very, very intuitive and they say that very clearly. I know stuff. And I think that's fascinating because I don't claim to know stuff. I just know when I'm allowed to be with someone and they embrace me and they ask me for assistance, and then I'll step in. Otherwise, I mind my own business. I don't know everything. I don't want to know everything. I like things to happen organically.
Well, how is that in your own life though?
Well,
Is that
in my own life, I've made some pretty interesting decisions. Um, Listen, I'm not on all the time. Like a surgeon's not doing surgery all the time. I've learned how to sort of have the switch go on in my head where I give myself permission to not be plugged in. I unplug, and that's fine. And I love to unplug. I only go into work mode when I'm requested. Otherwise, there's the Penelope part of me, which is the spiritual intuit who loves helping. And there's the Penny part of me, leave me alone.
sure?
I like
Yeah.
having my own separate life. I don't, they are more joined together now, but people have flown under my radar. I'm not on all the time. There's some challenging people that I've had in my life. And I think part of that has made me more empathic and understanding of other people's issues and problems. It's just made me what I feel a better person.
What do you think about the people? There have been some mediums who are in their shows and they just walk around to like, different places and start reading people.
I find
What do you
that
think?
very offensive. I find that
Yeah.
very offensive for me. I mean, listen, they're making gazillions of dollars and it's all very orchestrated and it's all very well, they're making good money. And I think some of it's real and some of it I feel is not so real. I don't begrudge anybody making a life for themselves or making money, but it's not my thing. I find that to me being very aggressive. I would not just walk up to somebody unless there was an emergency, unless there was something that I felt something bad was going to happen and I have to say it. But other than that, it's not my thing. It's just not my thing.
Right. Someone once said to me that about someone I know in my life, and they said that when you are have strong psychic abilities, when you're very intuitive, you are almost like someone walking in a mall and there's this little like light following you, where that's what they said, where spirit is almost like, oh, if we want to talk to someone, we talk to that person, they'll get the message to whomever. Is
Right.
that what do you think of that?
I think that's their way of channeling their energy. And I don't, as I said, I don't begrudge anybody on how they tune in. It's not my
Mm.
thing, although I have walked by people and I will get an energetic information or story. But I also would never, unless it was something, God forbid, that I felt the person was going to have a heart attack and then I have to jump on top of them and do CPR. And I have done that. I have done that. I really feel you could hear stories and then it's up to the individual if they're going to want help with something or want to discover whatever that is, then they come to me. It's not for me to go to them. I just
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah.
I find it's more respectful not to
I
approach people.
I agree with you. I think that, I mean, otherwise you're kind of like invasive, right? If they don't
Exactly.
want it. Yeah.
Being who I am and growing up the way I did, Jill, I was always very shy. I
Mm.
was very, yeah, it took a lot for me to come out of my little closet of being fearful about just saying what I was feeling and telling people what I was feeling. Only my friends and my family, the close ones, knew what I was processing, but I didn't go around telling everybody about this. I don't have Instagram. I don't do any of the fancy stuff. I'm not really, this is a big deal for me to be on a podcast. I've been on a couple that I always get very anxious about beforehand. It's not for me in a comfortable way to sell myself. It's really about healing and helping people, but that's not something I necessarily project out and tell everybody in the world about. It's really who finds me. Anyone who speaks to me is through word of mouth. It's never been through any kind of advertising.
That's how I found you. That's how I found you. How did you ever see yourself doing this when you were younger? Was this even a thought?
No, 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 no way. I
Mm.
always wanted to be in healthcare. I always wanted to be a nurse. I always wanted to help people, but
Which is
no.
very common. I know John Edward, the same thing. He worked in
Yeah,
healthcare. A lot of,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that was my way of connecting to people and helping people. And I worked with a varied group until I found my niche with geriatrics. And now I am one. But the fact is, I've worked with all ages, and I really, I think that was my link to having that ability to touch people and to connect to people. And again, very respectfully, based on whatever their reason was for encountering me, I would just do my thing. And I didn't discuss it with anybody. I was very quiet about it. I'm one of these quiet people.
The sleeper cells, right? Where you're like,
Mhm.
woo. Let me ask you, because you said, I mean, you helped you probably many people make the transition, and pass away. So let me ask you this: do you fear death?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't fear death, but I'm all about life. I don't just deal with people that are transitioning. That was when I worked in geriatrics. Today, I'm all about encouraging people to be in life. This is not a dress rehearsal. We are in the real deal, how you can change your direction, how you can be guided into a different form. Even after COVID, people lost their livelihood, and seeing and helping guiding them to find a new way of being alive. That's where my promotion is the biggest. Being alive, being present, not fearing. Most people fear life, not death.
That's so true.
It's about dropping the fear. And it's not that I'm unrealistic. I know there are bad people out there. I know
Mm.
there's bad stuff. I want to keep people in their immediate world to be happy, to be present, and to live their lives to the fullest. And that's what I encourage. But when it comes to fear of death, no, I'm frightened for people that don't want to be here and be part of life and make the best of what they could be. That's what I really try to promote. But we all have an expiration date. None of us are getting out alive. None of us. And I want the best quality of life for myself and for other people. But I can't wait to see my family who's left and my puppies. I had a dream about my dogs the other night. I was so joyful when I woke up because I just know I'm going to see them again.
It's so funny you said that, because I believe animals go to heaven per se, but um some people don't. Some people, especially in different religions, do not believe that animals, souls live on. And I find that so interesting. It's so funny to me, because I'm like, wow, I'm the exact opposite,
Well,
you know.
Jill, I've been the exact opposite of most people most of my life.
Mm.
I've accepted that I am not the norm, nor do I want to be. I used to try to fit in because I felt very out. So I wanted to try to fit in. So that's why I was shy about telling people about what I felt or what I knew. I have friends even to this day that I don't go into any conversations about what I do because I know they can't wrap their head around it, or whatever their belief system is. I'm not trying to push myself on anyone. I just know what I believe. I don't berate anyone that doesn't believe because everyone's entitled to their own belief system. I'm not here to change people's belief system. I'm just here to help people believe in what I believe when they join me.
All right, Penny. I'm going to take a very quick break right here because I have so many more questions. So we will be back right after the commercial break. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. If you love what you're listening to, please like and subscribe to Secrets on whatever podcast platform you listen to, and never miss an episode. Share this with a friend because it's really good. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody. I'm Jill Conway. If you love what you're listening to, please like and subscribe to my channel on whatever podcast platform you listen to and on YouTube so I can keep bringing you these amazing women and sharing their stories. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you love it as much as I do. All right, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Penelope Mandel is with me, and she is a spiritual intuitive guide. And she has the most amazing stories. She has the most amazing, I want to say, skills. I don't know. Some people, is it gifts? How do you refer to?
A skill can be a gift, and a gift can be a skill. It's how people use their tools.
Oh, nice. I like that. All right. So let's talk about a few things. So we talked about when you realized you were you had the intuitive abilities that you do, and you were very young. So I want to ask you at this point, is there a spiritual practice that you do every day to kind of find, like help your energy or clear your energy? Is there anything you do?
Yes, well, it's not a practice. I don't call it a practice, but I do try to do some meditation first thing in the morning. I actually need to sit quietly and not do anything and just be quiet inside. I've been doing this every day since, I would say, probably around COVID time, where things were so chaotic and I was getting really a lot of phone calls and a lot of hysteria. So just to quiet my soul and what I was preparing for the day, I just sit quietly, close my eyes, and say, give me the strength. Give me the strength, give me the information that I need to give. Please, I'm your vessel. Use me. And those were the words sort of that I said. It's not very complicated. Use me.
Right.
Any way you feel, you see fit. I talk to people
Somebody,
from all over the world, Jill, and I can't believe I'm getting calls from Australia and Japan and China. I mean, I cannot believe how far my name has traveled with zero, no publicity, nothing, just word of mouth.
well, not yet. So let's talk about that. You have a documentary, is it coming
Yes, a
out?
documentary was made by my niece's very talented friend who's a producer, director, does editing. She's in the business. And one day they approached me and said, would I be willing to do a film with them? And I said, about what? And they said, about you. And I went, what? And it's called Penny. My documentary is called, it was just shown at the Coney Island Film Festival, and it's being submitted to many festivals, and it's not streaming yet because it's still in submission phase. And it has 10 minutes captured of about 12 hours of film, 10 minutes of a short about me, as a child growing up, little tidbits here and there about what I've shared with you. And I saw myself on the big screen a couple of weeks ago, and it was quite shocking to me to see myself right up there on a film. And yeah, I get very nervous about it. I'm very
Do you?
humble. I'm humbled, but it's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Mm. That is exciting. So that could keep going. That could keep going.
Uh, if it's meant
But
to.
yes, yeah. And and you mentioned a little bit on the other half of the show that about skeptics. So when you're more in front of more people, you're open to more skeptics.
Sure.
And how do you handle them, or
I
how do you
love
handle
them.
someone who's across from you and that says, like, I don't believe in this.
I
Why am I
love
here?
them. I love skeptics. I love them because they make me work harder. I know that I have to say something that will
Mm.
convince them that I'm the real deal. So skeptics are welcome. I don't mind people challenging me. Skeptical is one thing, being negative is another. If I feel a negativity, you don't have to speak with me. I'm cool with that. We could
Right.
stop. I like skeptics that are open to trying to hear something that they may not understand. And I know I have to say something that makes sense. I have someone, do you want an example?
Sure.
I had a woman come to me who was incredibly skeptical. She came with her sister-in-law, sat down in front of me. I went, uh-oh, this one's going to be a doozy,
Mm,
right? Sits
mm-hmm.
across the table from me. I have no frame of reference. All I kept hearing is, ask about the necklace, ask about the necklace. With that, the woman, the skeptic, bursts into tears. And now I don't know what's going on, what I've done. And the sister-in-law said, oh my God. And the woman takes out, she has a half of a heart necklace. And it was, the other half was her daughter who committed suicide. And she said to her daughter, I'm going, but I don't necessarily believe in this stuff. But if this woman's real, she'll know about the necklace. And that's the first thing I said. That was it. And I didn't
Wow.
see the necklace. It was tucked into her shirt. I did not see it. So I like making people that are so rigid less rigid. I like people to be open and not so fearful. Because most of that rigidity, most of that skepticism is from fear.
Do you see visions of things in front of you next to people when you're reading them?
Sure, I absolutely do.
Wow.
I sometimes hear a narrative or a story in my head that describes
Mm.
something that somebody has been through. I have heard people having physical issues that they are not dealing with that end up becoming more known. I say, what's going on with your kidney? I feel something happening around your kidney. And sure enough, they had a stone. And I mean, I'll hear things like that. I do have an ability to have a medical intuitive energy. Not with everyone, but when I'm supposed to, it comes. That's the thing, Jill. I don't pretend to do one thing or be an expert in anything. I just do what comes to me when I meet people. I'm no expert. I don't pretend to know it all. And also, I don't believe anybody does. I think I just do what I'm guided to do.
Right. I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think um I don't think anyone knows it all. I think a lot of, like you said, a lot of people think they know it all, but nobody knows
Those people
everything.
usually are the people I want to steer away from. People that
Yeah.
think they know it all. They don't need my help. They
Mm.
know it all.
Right. 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 Um, what what kind of how do you said clients find you by word of mouth? What kind of has any particular client really stuck out to you? Something that you've said to them that really changed their life or something
Absolutely.
like that?
Absolutely. I can't mention names, but I had a client call me once, and while we were speaking on the phone, her husband came home, and I heard her say, "Hi, honey." And I said, "Who is that?" She said, "My husband just came home for a checkup." I said, "Get off the phone with me now and get him to the hospital." I heard it screaming in my head, "Get off the phone and get him to the hospital." As they arrived to the hospital by the emergency room, the man had a massive heart attack, and they saved him. And he just came out of a doctor's office being given a clean bill of health. So that's something I will never, ever forget. I heard it screaming in my head, somebody saying, "Get off the phone, get to the
Right.
hospital."
Mm.
And that's
Now
something that
was that your voice or that was
no,
a,
it
s-
was
a
someone else
different voice?
screaming in my head. For myself, what I personally experienced with a very similar content was I was walking to my car very early in the morning during the wintertime when it's still dark in Brooklyn, and someone yelled in my head, "Turn around." And loud. It's very loud in my head, like you can't avoid it. And I turned around, and there was a man right behind me. And I and I startled him because I turned around so fast, and I ran by him and I called 911 while I was running, and he was a rapist in the neighborhood that they were looking for, and they caught him.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Now, I didn't hear him. I am deaf in my left ear. I haven't had hearing in my left ear since I'm 13 years old. From an accident, a firecracker went off right near me and it shattered my eardrum. So I did not hear this man coming up behind me. One of my angels, said, "Turn around," and yelled, and that's when he would have gotten me within 5 more seconds.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it was only because I turned so quickly that he jumped back because he didn't think that I heard him.
Right.
So it saved my life, thank God.
Wow. 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 I want to talk about that's a good story. Wow, both of the stories. Because Alan Thicke, that you probably know that story went to a medium that Hollywood medium or whatever, that young man
Yeah.
who's the psychic, and
Tyler
and it told
Perry,
yeah
something.
yeah something like, and he told Alan Thicke, you should go get your heart checked or whatever, and Alan Thicke kind of laughed him off, and they have the tape, and then he died too long later from a heart attack. So
Exactly.
yeah, listen to your psychics, everybody. Listen to that. I do want to talk to you because you do talk about who you work with or what types of people you work with, businesses and things, business people, and who do you work with?
Well, it's a variety of people that if you would have asked me 20 years ago, I would say to you, you were out of your mind. I'm working with businesses, Fortune 500 companies, every line of fashion that you could imagine, fashion models, fashion wear, everything I'm not. I get makeup on my face. I work with quite a few very famous, well-known people that names will never come out of me about who they are, but they've got my name through word of mouth and called me. Some of them tried to use alias names, and I called them on it and said to them, "Okay, so we're going to really be calling you that when I know your name is that?" And they started to laugh, and then they realized who they were speaking with. Um, Here's the thing: I don't care about any of that. I love and honor people for their higher selves, no matter what they do. I don't care about actors and actresses and fame. I don't care about any about that. I care about people's souls. I care about who they are and how they are with others. So there are a million people out there working different, and I don't change from one to the next. I equally love the person who's cleaning up after an elderly person as much as I love someone who's just gotten an Oscar. I really have the same love and caring. Nothing different. It's just admiring and caring and helping people for what they're doing in their lives. So yeah, I've been exposed to a lot of pretty cool people. I have a couple of names that are really cool, but they're going with me. They're
Right.
I don't write anything down or keep anything in my home. I have no notes on anyone. I don't write anything. If I'm at a party or if I'm doing a party or a gathering, I will give people the notes that I'm writing so they can take it home. I have no library. None.
That's very freeing
Well,
for you.
I think especially the quote unquote famous people or known people, I
Mhm.
part of the charm I believe they like about me is that I'm not out there on Instagram and doing all that stuff. They like that I'm not that person because they don't have to be worried about me. Anonymity is really important. Privacy. I grew up with HIPAA in healthcare. I do that with my readings. I believe it's really important.
Do you, I know you also said that you work with people sometimes. Do you give them big event, guidance for a big event, or do you do day-to-day guidance for some people? I mean,
It's depending on
what
the individual and why they're calling me.
Mm.
I've helped business people make some pretty big decisions in business. What's wonderful about that for me is I don't pretend to be an expert in any of these fields. I'm just saying what I hear. And it's beautiful when it makes sense. But for me, it's another language. I don't understand big business. I don't understand what it is to walk down a red carpet. Maybe you and I will do that one day. I do not know. I don't have that lifestyle, but I've been exposed to so many amazing people. And but for the grace of God, I'm given information that makes sense, and I'm very grateful. And I'm also very humble. If I don't hear it, I will say that. I don't
Right.
make
Right.
anything
So
up.
some people are harder to read, or you don't get
There are
something.
people that put up blocks. There are people that definitely don't want you. And I have actually asked people, why did you bother calling? I didn't call you. You're calling me. So if you're going to put up a block, we could stop this session right now. I don't have to do this.
Why do you think some people are hard to read like that?
Fear. It always
Mm.
comes back to that magical word, fear. They're blocking because they don't want you to know something, and they feel like they'll be exposed if you know. I am not the person to speak to if you carry that energy, because I see through that, but I'm not going to do a tete-a-tete with you. I'm going to let you have, if you don't want to let me in, that's fine. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Right. Right. I did write down all these questions that I want to make sure I kind of get to. How do you stay grounded? How do you like you said you meditate and whatever, but is there after a certain readings or something, do you kind of have to like do something to specifically clear your energy, something
When
like
I'm
that?
in my Penelope mode, when I'm in my reading mode, I really
Mm.
am very conscious and aware of who I'm speaking with and where the energy begins and ends. And when I get off the phone, if I am having any of the remnants of what I've just experienced, I identify it quickly and I shake it off. In my
Mm.
head, it's like that magic erase board where I take some kind of visual of erasing whatever just came up, because I now know, because I'm getting older, when that happens, if I'm carrying. And I also have incredible family and friends that if I can't do that for myself, I will call a family or friend and say, listen, I just got off of a really rough conversation. Just talk to me. Just talk to me. And that most times any remnants will disappear, because we have to surround ourselves with loving people. And I am blessed with having an incredible sister. I have a wonderful family. My niece has been incredibly supportive. She was part of the film that was just made. People, my best friends. I mean, I'm really wonderful. I'm very grateful.
Mm. That's nice. That's really nice. What do you think? I mean, do you have something like this where what are the most common messages or questions that people have? Is it about life purpose or like what is the most
Most
thing?
people need guidance with what's next. A lot of people want to know what's next. Business wise, a lot of that comes up, like I'm not happy with what I'm doing for work.
Mhm.
What do you feel? A lot of women, lots of love. Everybody wants to know when they're going to meet their loved one and how and where. Um, Most of that is, yeah, money, business, love. Three top. Fourth would be health. Fourth would be health. I'm going to give a little bit of a hint about on the documentary. I read someone, I did not ever meet them. It was all on the phone. It was during COVID. And I didn't even see the woman. And she has had to try to get pregnant several times, difficulty. And I just kept hearing they're wrong. The doctors are wrong. They're telling you can't have a baby. I know it's not true. At the end of the film, it showed that she had a baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they kept that a secret from me because they wanted it to be the highlight of the end of the film.
Hmm. How would you say, I mean, if I know you want to help people, right? You have said that. And so how do you guide people to learn to tap into their own intuition?
Well, if they ask me to, I tell them to do a few different exercises that I guide them through
Hmm.
and give them a couple of little exercises to do at home alone, most of which
Hmm.
is with a white candle, especially if they want to connect to somebody spiritually. I believe white candles are very powerful and a powerful tool to connect to spirit. That's why most churches and synagogues, et cetera, use candles in the environment. I don't know if they know that, but I know that. The fact is, there are a lot of, depending on the individual, you guide them based on who they are. Not everybody's the same. I may feel great about doing something with psychometry where you may not feel as comfortable doing that. So you really have to read the room and read the individual and sort of understand what it is they're trying to get to before you give them the advice. And that's what I do. I read the room. I read the person. That's what we have to do.
Right, right. Um, do you do you see this becoming more commonplace, conversations like this? I mean, it has
Already has.
ga- yeah, it's grown in popularity for sure
I mean, it already
and
has. If
understanding.
it's made Hollywood already, then it's
Mm,
already mainstream. It's already
mm,
become mainstream. It's on TV. You see whole shows about this. Kira Sedgwick did
mm,
a show regarding having an intuitive part of her. I don't want to name particular people. I'm just somebody who I know is incredibly spiritual. Um, there are a lot of very, known people who follow these paths and go on retreats and do various things to get in touch with this part of spirituality. And everybody practices it differently. I know American Indians that do their own religious pathways to spirit that I'm not familiar with, but they do it every day.
what is the purpose of our life on earth?
To live it. Our purpose is to live it and to embrace it and to we're going to have negatives. The negative lessons are the most important. They teach us what to not do anymore, watching other people's negatives and learning from that. Um, Embracing our higher selves, what we can be, what we can achieve, not what we've necessarily been programmed into believing, but getting past that. I know that better than anyone. I had a level of dyslexia growing up and I had difficulty with some learning. Getting past those quote unquote labels and titles and going beyond that, I think that's my whole purpose is uplifting, uplifting people. And I think we all need to be, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is the real deal. We have to be the best of us. When we cross over, we could be something else the next time around. But right now we're here. We're doing us now. And being the best of that part is really what I feel I see in other people. And I try to also do it for me. I'm learning every day. Jill, I am so blessed by the people I meet. I really am. I feel so grateful and humble. And that's really what brings me to my everyday. I get up in the morning, I go, I'm ready. I'm ready. What's next?
That's nice. It's a wonderful thing. It really is. I I want to talk briefly about because there are so many people who are suffering and going through such hard times, and and we talked a little in the break because I've read Louis Hay's book
Mhm.
about different illnesses surfacing in your body because there's something it's meant to teach you, or you learn from it, or something. What do you think about that? What do you think about, is it,
I
I mean,
really believe that Louise Hayes is a genius, was a genius. She's no longer with us, but I
mm,
believe her conceptualizing our physical with our health and our psyche and bringing it all together was nothing short of brilliance. I think she was tapped in the most amazing, brilliant way. I do believe our environments affect us. I speak to people all the time that when they come out of their jobs and they feel like their head is going to explode, or they have headaches, or they have visual issues, or they can't wrap their head around attention, that our environments affect us. I've had it happen with me, and I'm more sensitive, so I have to even be more cognizant of my environment. I've had to leave places when I have felt that. And my belief in other people knowing that and having more of a grasp on it, I love reading other intuits and how other people deal with life. It helps me understand mine, and I utilize some of that information. I'm far, nor ever want to be, perfect. I want to read and hear and understand everyone else's experiences, and I apply what makes sense. What doesn't, I leave it alone. That's what I do.
What's your lesson, do you think, that you're meant to learn in this life doing the work that you do?
I know what my lesson is. My lesson is to help as many people as I can before I leave. And I'm not leaving, and I have no intentions on leaving anytime soon. I really embrace my Penelope work and my higher self. I know I'm meant to be helping people. I've known that my whole life. However that looks, for every individual, it's different. Jill, when I leave this planet, I know that I've touched a lot of souls, and that's so important to me. And also animals. Love animals. And animals have made, I mean, my last dog passed away. His name was Basil. And I was devastated. And I just said, I can't go through this again. I had 4 dogs. But animals are important in our lives too. They feed our souls. They are soulmates on many levels. And I wish people could grasp that idea that animals that come in and out of our world are important also. But every single person that I've encountered, I feel it's given me another notch. I have a chaise lounge waiting. I don't just have, I feel like I've done a lot of bad things too along the way when I was stupid and young, but now I try to just be the best of me.
Oh, I love that. Well, I do want to ask you. So, I found you through certain circles,
Yes,
and I did have you at my own house, and you gave me a reading, which was fantastic.
thank
So,
you.
but I do want to put it on video. So, a little bit. Can you, for people listening too, so you can say whatever you want to say. Do you want to give me a little reading and see what happens?
In relationship to where you are right now, how personal can I get?
Go do it. Go ahead,
Because
Go ahead, Penny.
I feel your family has restructured in many ways, and you're having a little bit of an empty nest energy starting around you, and it gives
Mm-hmm.
you freedom and it gives you sadness at the same time. I
Mm.
feel like you are adjusting to getting back to yourself after being through a rough period of time. And I feel
Yeah.
like you have shown yourself having to say goodbye to certain people that you gave them a lot of the responsibility in keeping you feeling safe. Now you're feeling safe and you're keeping you safe.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I would say that's true. Where do you see this podcast going, Penny?
I think you're fantastic. I think the
Oh,
red carpet is waiting for you, Miss Jill. I think
oh,
I think you make people comfortable. You are very natural at what you do. You've earned your stripes in dealing and speaking with people. I think you make it a lot easier for people. I think you're fabulous.
oh, I think you're fabulous too.
Well, thank you.
We're good together. We're gonna start. I always say this, but I am planning a speaker series. I'll officially say that now, and I would like Penelope to join me on that stage at some point, and we'll sell tickets or whatever we have to do. But
Would,
I can't wait for that.
would love that. Anything connected to you, Jill, you're a winner, and I would love to be
Oh,
part of that.
oh, that's so lovely.
Are you
Thank you.
getting a new
Thank you.
car?
Say it again?
Are you getting a new car?
No, not that I know of.
Who
Oh, no.
needs a new car? I'm hearing new car.
Ooh.
That's interesting.
Well, I mean, one of my kids need a car. I hope not. I'd rather get a new. No, I'm just kidding. But
You being part of a new car, and I didn't know it was one of your kids, but I do feel you being part of that. That you have to get
ooh.
someone a car. Yeah, I just feel the purchase of a new car. That was a silly
Oh,
thing to hear.
oh, I love it. But see, you hear it, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it comes out of, I don't even know. It just, words come through
Yeah.
my head. I really, and then it just comes out of my mouth and somehow makes sense. Hopefully.
But I want to touch on that before we go because I feel like everyone gets that, right? Whether you're driving in the car and saying, take this exit, or you shouldn't go this way, there's probably a lot of traffic. We are all, in my opinion, getting those messages, but we just kind of dismiss it, right? I mean,
Absolutely. That's everything I want to teach. To stop
yeah.
dismissing and go for it. That's exactly what I say this to people of all walks of life. Don't discount what you think is just a mere thought. If you hear it more than once, it's a message.
What about ideas though? What about people's business ideas? I mean, and they think, oh, it's going to be so hard, or I don't know if or worse, they tell someone and they say that other person's like, oh, don't do it. That's not going to work out.
Well, I was told that most of my life growing up that you shouldn't try this and you shouldn't try that and you can't do this and you can't do that. And it was all not true. It was really all not true. That defined the person who was saying that to me versus me. That was about
Mm.
their definition of their inability to move forward. And it was projected on me, which sadly I listened to when I was younger. Now I run for the hills when that comes at me.
I think it takes practice, like you said, and to teach people. I think it takes a lot of practice to start listening to that voice.
Confidence in self. Confidence
Yeah.
in self. And I'm not projecting at you in any way, shape, or form that I don't have my challenges or there's days that I'm not necessarily 100%. I'm human. We're human. But then we have to, just like I'm sure a doctor wakes up in the morning and isn't feeling so good, but then you have to shake it off, or either rest if you need to, or get on what you're supposed to be doing and don't let it stop you.
I wanted to talk about one more thing because we were talking about it again in the break before we go because I think it's kind of cool. As I mentioned, I've been listening and reading a lot, and I recently I've spoken on I think on this podcast or at least on the radio show that I've read like the Seth Speaks books and by Jane Roberts, and I am down now the rabbit hole of Esther Hicks,
Mhm.
and both of them at some point in their thing have had a have an interaction with a Ouija board.
Yes.
What is your opinion of a Ouija board?
We had a Ouija board growing up. We had one also. I had a very progressive mother when it came to that kind of spiritual stuff. We used it as an entertainment tool. I mean, there was nothing really that I can remember or recall being so out there that it struck all of us, but it
Mm-hmm.
was fun. And then, for whatever reason, it became a boring sort of thing to do. But we did use it. It was a fun tool. I don't know if it's really connecting to spirit. I really personally never had that kind of interaction with it. Sometimes I felt it was whoever I was doing it with, they were moving it.
Always.
Yeah,
I always felt that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, I guess there are some people that believe that that isn't a real tool to use. My personal feeling is I never deny other people of what they experience and how they connect to spirit because it could always be different than my way. And I think when you come from that openness, that's really what's important. Just be open. There are people that use pendulums. There are people that use stones and crystals. It's what works for the individual. I went to Brazil when I was younger. a woman who I needed somebody to translate. I did not speak Portuguese. She told me that I was going to be doing readings for the rest of my life, and that was part of my reason for being here. I was in my 20s when I went there, but she said you should never let money touch your hand. Someone has to put money in either a container or an envelope or something. Don't let it touch your hand when you're doing the reading. It can't be about money. It has to be about the information. I said, okie dokie. And since that time, I either keep an envelope or a little purse or something, and I let people do their thing and make their change or whatever they have to do. I never touch it until an hour after I am finished.
Oh, wow. All right, so we're wrapping up, but what is the one tip you want to give someone who wants to connect more with their intuition?
I really feel there's so many people you can read about that have written fabulous books on these varied topics. I have never written a book. I'm not a writer. I could barely write a letter, but you can always reach out and either call or email me, and I'd be happy to help you. Every individual brings different energy and wants different information. Be open to this life, that it's not just black and white. Please be open to the energies, because especially now with all the chaos that's going on in the world, we can only make our immediate world safe and better. And that's up to us to do. And that's all I ask people: get in touch with that part of themselves, to center yourself and center your loved ones. And whatever tools you need to do that, by all means, go for it. There's different tools in different toolboxes. Pick one and run with it. That's how I look at it.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so if people want to get a hold of you, I'll put your contact information, in the link, or do you want to tell people what, how to book a section or something?
My telephone number is out there. It's 917-796-8205. Leave a message if I don't pick up, and I usually do a 15-minute reading for someone who wants to do a shorter, just a couple of questions. I do half hour, and I do hour sessions. And you can also have my email, which I think Jill will be putting up my email. What an honor and a privilege. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you,
Jill.
I love this.
You are just so delicious. I love that you're doing such good work. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Penny. And I loved having you on. Penelope Mandel, everybody. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing your incredible story, and for your insight. And everyone has to go find a place to get quiet for just a couple minutes every day, right? Yeah. All right. I'm Jill Conway. Thank you for listening to the show celebrating incredible women like Penny. I hope you are inspired to pursue your own goals, believe in yourself, and dream bigger. Your voice matters, and your story can help others. I hope you join me next time.